When it comes to the twin flame journey, I think all of us that are on this journey would agree that there are thousands of things that we could talk about regarding our journey. And when I decided to step forward and really pursue part of my mission and purpose in terms of how I'm here to serve humanity, I knew that I wanted to be the coach, the person that people came to help them find solutions and provide them with tools and resources to navigate through the challenges that we face as twin flames. The challenges that can, trigger us, that we don't understand why these things are happening. Because when you can receive that support and understand how something is here to serve you, it opens you up to a deeper level of healing. And I knew that I was never going to be the one that knew everything about this journey. Because honestly, trying to figure out and know everything about this journey as I tried in the beginning of my journey actually delayed my progress. It kept me searching outside of myself. And I just opened myself up to learn about the journey as I was ready to learn about it. And today I want to talk about some things that I utilize to help me go from a state of feeling lost and confused and overwhelmed and looking for my masculine to save me to and utilizing these tools to help me feel more aligned, right? To feel more empowered, to find the ease and grace within this journey, along with the compassion for myself, compassion for my masculine, but not only that, to walk my path with confidence and clarity. Because in my first 3 years of my journey, I didn't have that. And so if this is really resonating with you, then I hope you join me in today's video. And for those of you that are new, I see you and I'm really excited that you are here. My name is Melissa and I'm a spiritual guide. I'm a twin flame mentor and I'm an energy healer. And I created Sacredness Within You to help support the feminines who are on the twin flame journey, to provide you with tools and resources that have helped me align to a version of me that was navigating this journey with confidence, navigating my journey with clarity, and really feeling empowered. Apparently, somebody in my neighborhood is really wanting to get somebody's attention, so I'm sorry. But I created this for you. So this could be a place where you could land and feel as if somebody was speaking directly to you, knowing that I get you because I was once you. And so on my channel, I'm going to provide, on a weekly basis, some videos to help support you and guide you on your journey, but also to some energy healing sessions as well along the way. Because for me, those are the two most powerful tools that I used was inner work and energy healing to help me get to where it is that I am today. And where I am today is I feel really empowered in my journey, empowered as somebody who embodies the feminine essence, right? Stepping into my purpose and living a life that I'm here to live. The part of me that knew that this is what I was here to become. And so I want to share with you something that I shared on an Instagram post, a TikTok post, and a short video on here on YouTube. And it's talking about the things that I wish I would have known earlier in my journey. Or the way that I look at it is if I had to go back to the beginning of my journey, like God said, okay, Melissa, you have to go back to the beginning of your journey and start all over again. The caveat is you could utilize the wisdom that it is that you gained on this journey and apply it to your new path. This is what it is that I would do. But before I talk about that, I want to kind of paint a picture of who I was like my first 2.5, 3 years of my journey. So just like you, when I awoken to this journey, I didn't know and understand what the twin flame term was. Because prior to that, I actually had like a 7-month relationship with my twin. I didn't know that we were twin flames. We just knew that we were somebody special in each other's lives. And there was this really strong pull towards him energetically. But this sense, I already knew him. Like I knew him like forever, for this whole entire life and other lifetimes as well. And what I realized is that during my relationship with him is I got to experience unconditional love for the very first time in my life by a partner. The only other person that unconditionally loved me was my grandmother. And to be able to receive that unconditional love was beautiful, but also to be able to love somebody unconditionally was something really new to me. And I didn't know how I could love in this new way, but yet like the worst version of me was emerging. And what I mean by that is like my shadows, my triggers, like my wounds, right? My insecurities, the things that I could hide from everyone else, I couldn't hide from him. And they would come out in these really like terrible ways. And I recognized that I was doing the best that I could at that time with the tools and resources that I had, which was nothing. And when he decided that we needed to go our separate ways, there was this part of me that just knew that that wasn't the end of our story. And he had told me that in order for us to come back together, that I needed to create stability in my life. And at that time, I thought it was just financial stability because that was one of the biggest struggles that I had in life. And it's linked to my karma. And so for me, love, money, and a few other things are the biggest challenges in my life because of the things that I carried in from past lives. But little did I know, he was implying that I needed to be emotionally stable, mentally stable, physically stable, energetically stable, spiritually stable, financially stable, like stability in all levels. And I think like 4 or 5 months after that, I had come into contact again I reconnect, I should say, with a coworker that I had worked with prior to moving to Mexico. And Mexico is actually where I met my twin. And she said, "Hey, I just want to catch up. It's been a while. I want to see what's going on. What happened to that guy, blah, blah, blah." And I thought, wow, it's been 9 months since we broke up. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to rehash things and talk about it, but I knew with her that I needed to. And when I started sharing my story with her, she said, "Oh my gosh, I really think that you are on the same path that I am. I'm going to send you some information and let me know if it resonates." Before I received this information, I had a lot of clarity. I had a lot of guidance and support coming from my connection with God and my connection to myself through my intuition. And I knew intuitively that there were specific things that I needed to work on. One was my subconscious reprogramming, and the other was emerging into the person that I was meant to be in this lifetime. And at that time, I was reading Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. And then I was reading a book on subconscious reprogramming. When I started reading the stuff about the twin flame journey, it was like giving me the answers to what it was I was experiencing with him and why. And at that time, I didn't even know I was awakening. I didn't even know what that meant. Like I was like so far removed from things and didn't really know what was happening. And I think part of it was because of the circle of friends that I was around. They were already understanding all of this stuff. It was like second nature to them. So I just felt like, oh, this is just how life is meant to be, right? Well, at that moment, I received the first link via text from my friend. It's when the overwhelm started happening, the confusion started happening. and really feeling now lost because I was like, I don't know what to do, because everything that I've been guided to do up until this point was very different than what was being sent to me and shown to me. And there was a lot of learning in that part of my journey. And part of my journey was I was meant to listen to my intuition. I wasn't meant to abandon myself again, because that was a typical pattern for me. And maybe this resonates with you as well, where you're in a new position and others that have worked in that position longer than you, or perhaps have more certifications, more education, whatever it might be, you tend to gravitate towards them versus listening to yourself, because you think, oh, they must know more than me. Like, who am I? Like, I am new. And here's the thing is, I had to realize that that innate knowing within me was my intuition that was speaking. And the intuition that we have goes far beyond any other education that somebody has, any experience somebody has. Like, there is like this beauty that comes within our journey when we start really honoring our intuition. And I remember having conversations with my friend who had introduced me to this idea of twin flames, and we just really see eye to eye. And the more that I followed people at that time, which was very limited compared to now, and a lot of these people were, I discovered, what I call false teachers. They're not even twin flames. And these people are trying to teach us about this twin flame journey. You remember, I always say everything happens for a reason. It's serving us for a purpose. And if you want to know more about that, then check out my previous video, because I talk a lot about the false teachings and to really discover if you are truly a twin flame. Because all of this unnecessary energy that's within the collective is like stirring the pot and making it harder for some people to really navigate this journey. But it's here to help support you, to help you get connected to your truth. And that's what I want to do, to be able to help people on their journeys to get connected to their truth. And actually, all month long, we are going to be diving into utilizing and understanding how to utilize your intuition for your twin flame journey. We're going to be clearing blocks. We're going to be tapping into trusting it more. What does that feel like? What does that look like for you? So if you're somebody that's on the twin flame journey and struggling to listen to that part of you, and you are a feminine, then make sure you check out Circle, because everything we're doing this month in Circle is geared towards utilizing your intuition. And a lot of these things that I'm going to bring forward today are things that we will be either talking about in the future or have talked about to help support you on your path. But at that time in my journey, back to my story, is that I felt really lost. I was constantly looking for my beloved to save me, right? Like waiting for him to be my knight in shining armor to save me, but he wasn't going to save me. And I realized that there was a part of me that loved feeling lost, loved feeling confused and overwhelmed. And there might be a part of you as well that loves to feel that same way. Because here's what it is that I realized was, it stopped me from moving forward in my journey in every area of my life. It stopped me from making decisions because there were so many things in front of me. And do you ever notice that when you watch video upon video upon video, or tarot reading upon tarot reading on your journey, which by the way, for me is like, like stop that right away, is you stop losing your connection to yourself. And when you stop losing that connection to yourself, that's when you start feeling lost. That's when you start feeling confused and you don't know what path to take. And so I encourage those of you that are feeling that way to slow down, to really slow down, because that version of me, she was trying to do everything she could externally to change her situation. And because I wasn't happy and really present in the moment that it is that I was living at that time, because I was always trying to escape that reality, I actually missed out on so many incredible things. Like I would look back at my life when I lived in Cabo and I was like, oh my God, I had such a great life. And when I lived there, I thought that, but not the way that I see it now. And because I was always trying to get somewhere other than where I was, through changing my external environment, I missed out on discovering certain parts of me internally. And I missed out on experiencing this beautiful journey that our twin flame journey can be. And so when I was in that state, also too, I was constantly looking at my masculine, like, what is he doing? Who is he with? What lessons is he here to learn? Is he learning those lessons? Who is he going to learn these lessons from? And I saw him separate as me. And there was also too a part of me that didn't want to be triggered. I hated being triggered. And I was shutting down and resisting growth. And so I want you to just check in with yourself and see, like, what does that feel like for you in your body? Like where is it that you are at in your journey? What is it that you're feeling right now? Are you feeling confused? Are you feeling stuck? Are you angry or resentful towards your twin flame? Are you still yearning for them and chasing after them? Remember, wherever it is that you are is perfect. We just have to bring awareness to it to help you shift from that place of where you are through healing, through inner work, through subconscious reprogramming to create and embody a new version of you. Because there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. The only thing that you are doing is letting go of things that are no longer serving you. Healing the parts of you that feel disempowered. Healing the parts of you that just want to be loved by you. And really embracing your authenticity. And this is a never-ending journey. I know some of you don't want to hear that, but it is. It's a never-ending journey. It does get easier in terms of growing, in terms of the healing. In the beginning of our journey, like we're on the floor for weeks, right? Because we're navigating through triggers. And when I get triggered now, which is very rare, most of it is like opening up, like when I continue to peel back the layers, it opens up and lifts like this huge opening up for things to come up that are preventing me from my authenticity, preventing me from aligning to the version of me that is in union, the version of me that is serving in this really incredible way. So let's start diving in and talking about some of the things that you can start doing. Some of the things that I stopped doing that really started shifting my journey. And for me, there was actually a physical shift for me, like in terms of where I was living as well. Like I was living in Mexico for like the first 2.5, 3 years of my journey. And then I moved back to the US like 4 years ago. And it was around that same time when my journey really started shifting because I started practicing a lot of these things beforehand. And one of the things that I did probably like a year after I found out that I was a twin flame, which was like a year and a half after meeting my twin, and I wasn't activated as a twin flame, which is important to remember. I wasn't activated until like 4 months later. So I wasn't activated on my twin flame journey for almost like 2 years after I met my beloved. And everyone's activation is different. And in terms of when it happens after you meet your twin flame, is probably like a year after I found out I was a twin, I stopped watching so many videos on twin flames. I utilized discernment as to who should I be listening to. Now I can just see energetically like, no, those people are not meant to be somebody that's supporting me on my journey. Because even now, like I still work with one particular twin flame healer, and that's Raimi. That's the only person that I really truly trust in terms of guidance and support, in terms of helping me grow. There are videos that come across my TikTok feed where I'm like, nope, I just know intuitively. not to listen to it because I know behind the energy behind it. But also too, like, there are some people that are on the journey that are great coaches, right? And there's others that just don't resonate with me. And it's important for you to find who resonates with you, whether that's me or someone else, because those are the people that you are meant to work with to help you on this path. And I stopped watching all tarot readings, all of them. Anything related to the twin flame journey and tarot reading, I stopped. And there's many reasons why to it, but a lot of times they're pulling from one specific group of twin flames. And there are 4 different waves of twin flames, and we're going through different things based on your wave. And a lot of times people think on the twin flame journey that we're all going through the same thing at the same time. We're not. Just because of the evolution of this journey and when we started it and where we're at and the work that some of us have done, over the last several years is really making a huge impact on the collective twin flame as a whole. The other thing I started doing, and I did this after I started receiving a download, after I received a download at the bus stop one day, is I started allowing my twin to lead me. Because prior to that, I was always told by other twin flame people that the feminine is leading the dynamic. And the way that the feminine leads a dynamic is that she is doing the inner work, right? And yeah, when she heals, it pulls the masculine to heal as well. But the masculine, who is like the 3D twin, the matrix twin, right? Like they usually don't awaken till later on in the journey, is navigating their life from their ego, right? And it's through the actions of the masculine that the feminine gets to learn things about herself, because they're meant to trigger her and grow. And prior to this download, I was just trying to figure things out on my own, be like, oh, I need to do this or I need to do that. But I wasn't allowing him to lead me to those parts. And when I decided like I didn't need to figure this all out, that I could allow my masculine to lead me to these parts of me based on his 3D experiences, is when things started to really shift. I no longer saw him as outside of me, and I no longer was really trying to compete with him or to try to make something different than what it was that we were experiencing. And I feel like once I did that, I stopped allowing my masculine to be a distraction from my journey. Because there was a point in my time in my journey where I allowed him to be a distraction. Meaning by me figuring out and trying to do by me trying to figure out what he's doing or focusing on his journey, it took away valuable time and energy from me. And that delayed my journey. It delayed my growth. And right now where I'm at, it's like the universe and God like put me in this pressure cooker of like everything that you didn't do that you were supposed to do, you're doing right now. And trust me, you don't want that to happen, because there are things that are meant to happen in a certain time frame of your life. And God and the universe will support you in making sure that that happens. The moment that I stopped like identifying as a twin flame, meaning the twin flame journey was everything about me, it started like losing its power over me. And I created freedom in that. And what I mean by that, a lot of times when we awaken to this journey, it becomes our whole entire life, right? But you have to remember that it's just part of your journey. It's a part of who you are. And this journey is your path and the way that you decided to awaken and experience your spiritual awakening, and how you were going to experience, a sacred union, a divine love. And so don't allow it to be everything. And I would encourage you to stop identifying and saying things like, I'm the chaser in the dynamic. I'm in separation. Because anything that is attached to an I am, as Neville Goddard says, you start identifying them by that. That becomes a part of who you are. And you start creating that reality. And so, like, for me, when I think about what others call separation, for me, it's a time of exploration and rediscovering of myself, because that's really what it has been for me. I'm exploring and getting reconnected to these parts of me. And I'm exploring life in terms of figuring out, like, what sets my soul on fire, what brings me the most joy in life. And where am I holding on to limiting beliefs that aren't mine? Where am I living out of alignment? And when I started using the law of assumption, and I'm going to talk about this more, and I know there's a lot of people out there that say that this isn't going to apply to the twin flame journey, is that the law of assumption, you assume the state in which it is that you desire to be. So, for example, if you are constantly saying, I am in separation, you're going to constantly create that. And it's because you're embodying separation consciousness. And you have to be able to shift your consciousness into unity consciousness and to embody a new and consciousness, which means energetically, but also in your subconscious programming. And when you start aligning and assuming that vibration, that state, it's not going to happen overnight. You have to continually to start embodying that. You start embodying what it is that you desire. So if you want to, be somebody that, makes $10,000 a month, whatever your goal is, right? You start embodying that version of you by the law of assumption, assuming that you are already making $10,000 a month. And whatever is in the way of you embodying that consciousness, that version of you is going to come up to surface. And by doing that, it takes the guesswork out of what it is that you need to heal. What is it that you need to do? Because a lot of us are navigating this journey from the mind, right? From our ego, which is masculine energy. And as feminines, we are here to navigate this through our intuition. And when you intuitively start aligning to that version of you that is in union, you start to feel like what's coming up in your body, right? Like some of you, I can feel your root chakras are like, no way, this doesn't feel safe. And so it's going to push you in the direction to heal and clear your root chakra to where you can feel safe in union, where you can feel safe in that connection. And it's going to bring up everything else as well. So you don't have to try to figure out what's going to happen next, because your body, your soul is going to release what is no longer serving you and what is blocking you from embodying that version of you. Does that make sense? Next, I started utilizing the law of detachment as well, probably around the same when I started using the law of assumption. And we're going to be talking, I think, next month in May in Circle about the law of detachment and the law of assumption and how to utilize those in your journey. Because a lot of you have probably heard that you need to detach from your masculine, right? To detach from them, to detach sometimes from this journey. And a lot of you might be like me, where when you detach from something, it means that you are removing yourself from that situation. You're removing that person from your life. Like, you do not want them to be in your life because you know that if they are, they might be creating some type of difficulty, harm, abuse, or challenge in your reality. So for me, I experience detachment all the time, and I was a professional detacher. It's one of the things that I was really good at because of my fear of abandonment. And what I learned was when you start utilizing the law of detachment, it means that you are letting go of any emotional attachment that you have and any expectations for it to occur, because through the law of assumption, you're already assuming union. And when you detach from the outcome, detach from the expectation of it having to happen a certain way, it allows your soul and God to navigate this journey in a much more aligned way, a much more beautiful way, because you're not hanging on to it. And start looking at and like getting curious as to how are you emotionally attached to your journey. Because remember, whatever it is that we're attached to is actually something that can create unnecessary pain and suffering. For those of you that this is resonating with, like working with a coach, working with a healer is something that can propel your journey forward. And I will tell you, the moment that I started investing in me, not my physical vessel, not in terms of like, oh, I need to look a certain way, but I started investing in somebody to help me create a new internal reality, is when things started changing drastically in my life and in my connection. Because prior to moving to the US, it wasn't a priority for me. The only thing that was a priority for me was to be in union with my twin. Because I didn't really understand at that time that the journey. And everything that I read just wasn't resonating with me. And now that I understand this in the ways that I do, I started realizing that there are things that I can't and I'm unable to see, even as a healer, even as a coach, even somebody who is really great at inner work. There are just some things that I can't see because I don't have a willingness to see it, because there is so much pain attached to it. And when you work with the coach, when you work with the healer, they hold space for you to connect to that part of you, to feel that part of you. They hold space for you to rise up to the version of you that you are desiring to be. And I know it can be scary, right? Because I remember one of my very first sessions, and this will still come up oftentimes with me, like a couple days before. A lot starts coming up for me because I'm going to meet with somebody who can see things that I can't see, whether it's through energy or through coaching, whatever it might be, right? They can see those things. And there's a part of me that's like, oh my gosh, what happens about if I feel shamed, or, I get blamed, or whatever that might be, right? Literally everything that my ego had told me or feared never occurred. It's where I got to realize that me being who I am right now in this very moment is absolutely perfect. And I started realizing that I didn't need to do this all on my own, because there was this part of me that was so afraid to ask for help, so afraid to receive help and guidance, right? And start exploring these things, regarding your stories, right? What things are playing in your mind, and how can you utilize what it is I'm providing for you to propel your journey forward. Um, the next one is I would use multiple types of energy healing techniques. There's a lot of energy medicine out there that are really extremely powerful. I have done acupuncture, I have done Reiki, I have done quantum healing sessions, I have done emotion code, and body code. I have used EFT tapping. I have used light language. I mean, the amount of energy work that I've used has been incredible. And it's like literally goes into identify the root cause of what it is that you are like trying to bring up to the surface, and it helps support you in that way. And so it will push up everything that's on top of it in order for that to come up. And And so energy healing, I feel like at times is kind of like the cheat codes to your healing, but you have to know what it is that you are working through. Because I've had clients come to me where they're like, well, I don't know what I want to work on. I'm like, well, that's part of your job, is to be like, well, this is what I want to work on. So we can identify that. So the energy can go to exactly where it is that you're needing support at that time. And, the other thing too is I also started using hypnosis towards the last like 6 months to a year, and subliminal messaging at night when I am sleeping. because we have to be able to get our subconscious brain on board. And what's funny is that I kind of giggle sometimes when I see these things, is the very first thing that I started working on in my journey when I started awakening was my subconscious reprogramming. But I actually walked away from that because nowhere did any coach or anyone talk about reprogramming your subconscious mind. And you have to be able to get your subconscious mind and your conscious mind on board, because our subconscious mind is what is putting things out into your reality. It's why things keep showing up, because you haven't done the work to reprogram your subconscious mind. And one of the mistakes that I made, and we were just talking about this in one of our coaching sessions in Circle, was just because you healed something. So say you healed parts of you that lacked confidence. Just because you healed those parts, it doesn't mean all of a sudden that you are going to be confident, because there's a part of you that doesn't know how to do that, right? So you have to be able to take the steps necessary to build your confidence after healing that part of you that lacked it, right? Because there's probably a wound or trauma that was attached to it. And so then you have to learn how to be confident. Like, what does that look like? How does that feel? You have to take those steps. I didn't do that all the time in my journey because I didn't know how. And one of the things is upgrading your self identity and your concept in terms of how you see yourself in the world. And this is a one that I haven't been great at. And I often get called out on when I'm working with my healer that I work with often, is that I don't make my healing a number one priority. And he'll even say, he's like, Melissa, you're a little lazy at times when it comes to your healing, aren't you? I'm like, because it's work, right? It's work. It's not fun. And he's like, you're the one that's delaying things. I said, I know, but I would make your healing your number one priority. Meaning put everything else off to the side, the partying, the going out with your friends. I mean, obviously you don't want to be in hermit mode forever, but like letting go of this need of like having to work all the time or to be, doing all of these things. Like I get people all the time in my DM saying, Melissa, I have so much going on in my life that I can't make this a priority. And I'm like, well, either you make it a priority or you don't. Like, look at what's on your plate and say to yourself, what is not necessary for me at this time? And with people with kids, they're like, well, my kids got this, my kids got that. The question that you need to ask yourself is, do your kids need to be in that? Or is that just another way that you're trying to keep up with everyone else? Another way to keep you busy that's self-sabotaging your growth? So where is it in your life that you can start making this a priority? Because when you make your healing a priority, it's saying to you that you are a priority. You matter. You are important in my life. I would right away eliminate any toxic people, places, and situations that are no longer serving you. I know it's hard to cut off friendships, especially people that you have been friends with for years, maybe even decades, right? It's hard. But those people are blocking you from allowing whatever is meant to be in your life. And trust in the knowing that when you let those things go, habits that are no longer keeping you in alignment with yourself, like when you think about the version of you that's in union, is she putting everybody else's needs before hers? No. She puts her needs before everyone else's, because she knows then she's better at every hat, every role that she plays in life. She's making her health a priority. She's making her business, whatever it is that her purpose and mission is in life, a priority. What else? And honestly, this is one that I was really grateful that I had in my whole entire journey, that honestly, I feel like was the foundation, like the pivotal thing that really supported me on my journey, was being connected to other feminines who were on the twin flame journey. Because the moment that I found out that I was a twin, I was connected to a feminine on the twin flame journey. When she left, there was another person that came in. When she left, there was more people that came in. And when I really started like practicing and stepping into my purpose, like I think like 4 years ago, where I was like on the down low about things and really like understanding this journey and utilizing what it is I learned to help coach people, is when I started having more people come into my reality. So I was connecting with more people on social media, learning more about their journey, learning more about how I was here to serve. But not only that, it really helps you heal like that sisterhood wound, right? Helps you heal your wounds with your mother. Because a lot of us didn't have mothers in our lives that loved us for who we were and resented us because we were another like woman, right? And so it brings so much healing and nurturing, but also too, for me, community is something that's very important to me. And it was something very important and essential on my journey because I knew I could always connect with somebody that understood me. So I never felt alone on this journey. I never felt misunderstood because I always had at least one person that got me, right? And understood like how painful it can be, when this happens, or understanding and helping me move through why this happened, right? Because we're not meant to do life alone. And so I wanted to share with you those things that have really helped me become empowered in my journey, have really supported me in finding that ease, that clarity, and that confidence in my journey. And I want that more for you because we don't want to say we can't ever trust our mind or our ego, but we have to start as feminines learning how to navigate this journey through our intuition. So if you're wanting more support and guidance on your twin flame journey, then make sure you connect with me in Circle. Also, too, I do have a free twin flame guide that's linked down below. And if you're wanting to book like a one-on-one healing and coaching session, I do them together. Then make sure you email me to schedule. Otherwise, I would love to know what it is that you have used that has helped propel your journey forward and what really resonated with you in this video. And if you found value in this, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And I hope to see you in the next video. Until next time, you guys.